Salutare, dragilor! Astăzi continuăm să citim în engleză Alice în țara minunilor. Nu știu cum voi, dar eu sunt foarte curioasă să aflu ce s-a întâmplat cu Alice după ce a mâncat torta. Să citim. Chapter 2. The Pool of Tears. Curiouser and curiouser, cried Alice. She was so much surprised that for the moment she quite forgot how to speak good English. Now I'm opening up like the largest telescope that ever was. Goodbye, feet. But when she looked down at her feet, they seemed to be almost out of sight. They were getting so far off. Oh, my poor little feet! Who'll put your shoes and stockings for you now, dears? I must be kind to them, thought Alice. Or perhaps they won't walk the way I want them to. Let me see. I'll give them a new pair of boots every Christmas. Oh dear, what nonsense I'm talking. Just at this moment, her head stuck against the roof of the hall. In fact, she was now rather tall, more than 9 feet high. Poor Alice, at the thought of it, she started to cry. After a time, however, she heard a little pattering of feet in the distance, and she hastily dried her eyes to see what was coming. It was the White Rabbit returning, splendidly dressed, with a pair of white kid gloves in one hand and a large fan in the other. Oh, the Duchess, the Duchess! Oh, won't you be savage if I kept her waiting? Alice felt so desperate that she was ready to ask for help of anyone. So when the rabbit came near, she began in a low, timid voice, "If you please, sir—" The rabbit started violently, dropped the white kid gloves and the fan, and ran away in the darkness. Alice took up the fan and the gloves, and as the hall was very hot, she kept fanning herself. Dear, dear, how queer everything is today. I wonder if I've changed in the night. Let me think. Was I the same when I got up this morning? I almost think I can remember feeling a little different. But if I'm not the same, the next question is, who in the world am I? I'm sure I'm not Ada, as she's got long curly hair, and I don't. And I'm sure I can't be Mabel, for I know all sorts of things, and she knows very little. Besides, she's she, and I am I. Oh dear, how puzzling it all is. So let me see if I know all the things I used to know. So let me see. 4 times 5 is 12, and 4 times 6 is 13. And 4 times 7 is... Oh dear, I shall never get to 20 at this rate. Okay, so let's try geography. London is the capital of Paris. And Paris is the capital of Rome. And Rome is... Oh no, that's all wrong. I'm certain I must have been changed to Mabel. If I'm Mabel, I'll stay down here. As she said this, she looked down at her hands and was surprised to see that she had put on the rabbit's little white kid gloves while she was talking. How can I have done that? She thought. I must be growing small again. She got up and went to the table to measure herself up by it, and found out, as nearly as she could guess, she was now about 2 feet high, and was going on shrinking rapidly. She soon found out that the cause of this was the fan that she was holding, and she dropped it hastily. "Pooh! That was a narrow escape," said Alice, a good deal frightened at the sudden change, but very glad to find herself still in existence. As she said those words, her foot slipped, and in another moment, splash! She was up to her chin in salt water. Her first idea was that she had somehow fallen into the sea. However, she soon realized that it was The pool of tears. That she has wept. That was it. She was swimming in the pool of tears. Just then, she heard something splashing about in the pool, a little way off. At first, she thought it must be a hippopotamus. But then she remembered how small she was now, and she soon made out that it was only a mouse. Would it be of any use now to speak to the mouse? Everything is so queer down here that I should think very likely it can talk. So she began. "Oh, mouse, do you know the way out of this pool?" The mouse looked at her rather inquisitively, but said nothing. "Perhaps it doesn't understand English," thought Alice. "I dare say it's a French mouse." So she began again. "Où est ma chatte?" which was the first sentence in her French lesson book. The mouse gave a sudden leap out of the water and seemed to quiver all over with fright. "Oh, I beg your pardon," cried Alice hastily, afraid that she had hurt the poor animal's feelings. "I quite forgot you didn't like cats." "Not like cats," cried the mouse. "Would you like cats if you were me?" "I wouldn't indeed." Are you fond of dogs? There is such a nice little dog near our house. I should like to show you. A little bright-eyed terrier, with such long, curly brown hair. And it belongs to a farmer, and he says it's so useful it kills all rats and... Oh dear, I'm afraid I've offended you again." The mouse swam away from her as hard as he could, making quite a commotion in the pool as it went. So Alice called softly after it again. "Mouse, dear, do come back, and we won't talk about cats or dogs either, if you don't like them." When the mouse heard this, it turned round and swam slowly back to her. "Let us get to the shore, and then I'll tell you my history, and you'll understand why is it that I hate cats and dogs." It was high time to go. The pool was getting quite crowded with birds and animals. There was a ducklet and a dodo and a lory and an eaglet and several other curious creatures. Alice led the way, and the whole party swam to the shore.